infects the Super Bowl, and nothing stops football.
Racism, greed, trauma to brain and spine. And yet, I cannot look away. Heroes are dead. Science has their heads. Oh, is there no escape from here? I need to know. It eats my soul. Nothing stops the NFL. Is this heaven or hell? I can't tell. It's human cockfighting. CTE, prayer circles, they blackballed the blackballer. They tried to end racism by stenciling it in the end zone. Billionaire boys using millionaires as toys. It's all immoral, all unethical. Ooh, the witching hour. Nothing stops the NFL. Is this heaven or hell? I can't tell. It's Urban and Snyder and Flores and Gruden, but Kyler, but Kelsey, but Cooper, but Canton. It's cheating and tanking and bounties and banking, but parlays, but face paint, but promo, but weddings.
Here we go. This one's for all the glory. Give it your best, it's all you got. Don't look back. Oh, it's all part of the story. You talk the talk, now walk the walk. Yeah.
When the game's on the line, will you have the guts to make the call? When it's crunch time, will you make us scream, God bless football?
Sing it louder. From the back of every bar or the subway, on the streets or in your car, wherever you have found yourself, scream out your battle cry. I'm all in. I'm all in. Fourth and goal, or pin back at your 30. Time to prove you're a hot shot. Let's attack. Oh, your name is Brandon Staley. Unleash some hell and go for gold. Yeah.
A few yards to gain. Does your QB have the guts? Will you just punt, or throw it up to Cooper Cup?
Sing it louder. From the back of every bar or the subway, on the streets or in your car, wherever you have found yourself, scream out your battle cry. I'm all in.
all in. I'm a fan of the Jets. I'm a fan of the Jets. The Jets. The Jets. Why this team? The Jets. Ah, the Jets! The Jets!
Greetings to all. Welcome to 2022. Omnicron is on the run, and away it went. But oops, there goes gravity, and here.
What a delightful surprise in the studio. Our friend John Amaechi, I don't know if he saw Tony. I don't know if he backed him into a corner. I don't know if Tony tried to get in the way of his post-up or not.
Meech is 5 Tonys. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
At least 5 Tonys. And the notion that Tony
Stu, he's
thinks,
5 U's.
Well, listen,
there's a difference.
There's only one Tony, but you know what I'm saying. And the fact that you think that this man could not back you down is absurd.
John and I met in the hallway. We haven't backed each other down. We met. We gave each other a hug. We're on the same team, him and I.
Most cordial, yes.
All right. Cordial is not what we want around here. I want active divisions. I want clashes everywhere. Regardless, always delighted when Meech shows up and want to tackle some of the things that are going on inside or outside of sports because, for those of you who do not know, I find him to be, and have for many, many years, to be the smartest person I know inside or outside of sports, knows a lot about a lot, and tends to treat people with great grace and dignity, and has a way of communicating as well, Stugotz, that people don't inherently fight with his message because his delivery is more cordial than most. So I wanted to get some sound from yesterday, talking about Ja Morant and everything going on with Ja Morant. Before we get into all the details of that, you guys liked some sound from Jalen Rose on this subject. Mike, I haven't heard that sound. What is the sound from Jalen Rose that you guys liked, and why did you like it?
I would argue that this is Jalen Rose's best moment on television. This is him being his most authentic self. I loved everything about the delivery, and it's using the platform to borrow from his life experience to try to advance his story a little bit more. It's not saying the same stuff the talking heads may be ill-equipped to say. This is someone that feels like there are some comparisons there, and I found it pretty insightful.
I am Ja Morant. I've been involved in drug raids. I've survived assassination attempts. I've been that undisciplined young person that was trying to figure out how to be famous, how to be successful, and how to change the dynamics of my family. What I had to learn is that people come into your life for 4 reasons: to add, subtract, multiply, or divide. You have to choose wisely. He has way too much to lose. Trust me, I've been that young player carrying a gun. When you start waving it, that could get you killed.
We have another clip as well to play for you from Jalen Rose as well.
Fame can be a drug. And I don't know what type of pain that he deals with and type of anxiety that he has, or what types of substances that he may be using. And I'm glad in this statement that he owned that I need to make changes for me. Because as the leader, as the breadwinner, you control the environment. The people that are around you, you select. And a lot of times, unfortunately, and Wilbon alluded to this also, when we start to get fame, when we start to get money, then we try to feel like we keeping it real. Like we trying to be down now. We trying to be tough now. We trying to be hard now. And I'm glad this actually happened at this point of his life. He's a 23-year-old young man. Nobody got arrested. Nobody got injured. The next step to that is now recovery. And I believe that he's on that path. I'm happy that he's on that path. He's going to return, and he's going to be a better person. And because of all of this taking place, he's now going to be able to live his full potential.
John Amaechi, you winced toward the end of that.
Yeah, I mean, here's the man I'd like to see mentoring Ja, right? That's fair. A lot of what he says it makes tremendous sense. This similar background piece. But how much celebrity before there is a caveat, an asterisk about your behavior? How much celebrity before you can do things that for other black men in this country, I mean, how many regular 23-year-old black men could brandish a gun in a nightclub in this country right now and in a strip bar and not expect to be dead? This is privilege of a different sort. And I do get the idea that you get intoxicated by fame. I had very little of it, and even I got drunk. But at the same time, I hate the idea that we infantilize athletes, that we pretend that, you know, if you're 23 and an athlete, you're actually 14, and you couldn't know any better. And I think you could know better even at 23. I think you could know better at 14. I was thinking back at how many of us as black folk had that talk. How many of us had it repeated with parents or grandparents who told us the dangers of just being thoughtless, how that can kill us. When I went to Toledo, I remember the conversation I had with one of my black teammates who was just like, you're not in Britain anymore. Not like Britain is a panacea, but our police don't generally have guns. And he taught me how to react at a traffic stop that will happen. This is somebody who has not grasped the gravity of their position, but could have done. Because I hate the idea that where we go to is essentially this man must be too stupid to know any better, and I don't believe that. I think Jalen, as is often the case with him, is thoughtful and compassionate, and I hope that he gets to be a mentor to that man. But we've got to start giving people the gravity of their position and having them own it. We've got to start to do that. Otherwise, people will be able to excuse behavior forever. We've seen this of athletes who are considerably older, by the way, in both the NFL and the NBA and other leagues, where athletes who are definitely too old but should know better somehow are still young because they're in a bubble then. That's the bubble. Or it's something else. There's always something else. I think accountability is sexy. We should own some of it.
Can we play some sound as well as we talk more about waving a gun around in public? Because I don't actually know what's going to happen here with Ja, where he'll get weaponized as someone who wants to go after the NBA, its progressiveness, its wokeness, and wants to create who we were asking at the All-Star Game, Stugotz, how much for the diamonds in your mouth? We were having this exchange with him. How much? $30,000 for the diamonds in your mouth? And now he's waving a gun on Instagram Live, and now he's being pulled out of the league. This person can be weaponized as look at what the league is when you're waving around a gun. What is this person thinking? Do you have for me anything that would resemble, as I've seen Bomani turned into a scold on CNN saying cruising for a bruising. I've seen Jamel Hill say this can have catastrophic results. I'm seeing a 23-year-old behave like a kid who wants to posture and is a face of the league. What's happening here?
I don't have an answer in terms of what's happening here. I think this can end up being one of those things where we talk about, is it about black culture or urban culture or something else? I think Jalen's right. There is a part of this that is about the intoxication of wealth and how it's supposed to be manifest, how you're supposed to deliver that to the world. But there's also part of this, it's just about being juvenile. You've decided to do something that most reasonable people, even at the age of 23, would know would have some serious cost. And the cost is negligible, right? 2 games? It's negligible. I don't think there's anything to weaponize against the NBA. I think it's an unbelievably reasonable thing to be suspended. I don't know how many workplaces you could go in, even those related to sports. Actually, really, I can't think of his name now. He was super skinny guy. He played for the Los Angeles Clippers.
Darius Miles,
No.
Lamar Odom?
Keon Dooling.
It'll
Lamar
come.
Lamar
Skinny
Odom.
Clippers.
No,
Lamar
it wasn't even.
Skinny
He was
Lamar
a
Odom?
center.
Skinny
7 foot-
Clippers.
Lamar
7'2". No.
Lamar Odom?
Lamar Odom?
Stop saying Lamar Odom. I don't know why.
You said skinny Clippers.
Darius
Lamar
Miles?
Odom.
Darius
He
Miles?
just said, who are you thinking
Anyway,
of?
this bloke.
Broad shoulders would
he
be
got
Darius
he got
Miles, I
suspended
think.
for a month by his team. The league didn't even have to get involved because he brought a gun into the locker room. Not brandishing, he just happened to have it on him. Which I just don't understand. What's this fascination? I shot a gun once. I told you this 1,000 times. I shot a gun once in my life, and I was like, never again. I shot cans. I've never felt more powerful, and it felt like the most dangerous thing in the world for me to feel that powerful. As a person who's already privileged, already got power and money, it's like the last thing I need.
It
is
brought
to
you
feel.
fear to be so powerful that you could blow somebody's face
I was
off
like,
like
this
a can.
thing. Well, yes, I hold tremendous animus. In that way, I'm quite juvenile.
You're not talking about Gilbert Arenas,
Keith
right?
Kloss.
No, Keith Kloss.
Lamar Odom?
That was it. It was Keith Kloss. It was Keith Kloss, and I think anyway. But anyway,
You think?
one of them did.
It was
DeAndre
Kloss.
Jordan.
It could have been anybody. I don't know. But my point was that I just don't. It's not that I think I want him to be made an example of. I want him to get support, is what I want. But I also don't want us to do this thing where we infantilize an entire group of grown men who have lawyers and agents and other people around them who have significant contracts with large. Isn't he like the number 1 person at Nike now in terms of endorsement deal? These are big grown-up things, and I am very wary when people go from having big grown-up responsibilities and then all of a sudden, when it suits, we put them in a box where they have no responsibilities or accountabilities. I think he knows that he screwed up. I think his agent could have written a better note than there was written. But if he gets somebody like Jalen Rose in his life, then there's every chance that this is the last we ever hear of it. It's a lesson learned, and that would be great. But let's just not pretend that all athletes are so stupid that we have to give them like no accountability.
Meech, I think there's someone else that could potentially fix this even better than Jalen Rose.
Is it
Better.
Lamar Odom?
Well, no, it's not. It's not a skinny Clipper. It's a very thick Grizzly, and his name is Steven Adams. Now, he has called out Ja Morant, and I maintain that he is so intimidating that when Steven Adams says, hey, don't do that again, you don't do it again. And so I think of all the people in his life, the one person that could fix it better so than everyone else combined.
It's just because he
is
looks
Steven
like
Adams.
a pirate. Like
He called him out.
Like
He
a
did.
larger Jason Momoa. Yes, there was a team
the
meeting.
reports from Shams were that they had a players only meeting, and the Grizzlies, I don't know if you've seen the record on the road. They're quite bad on the road for how good they are otherwise. And he said specifically, we need to correct our behavior on the road. We have to be professionals. And according to Shams, everyone, including John, knew who Steven Adams was talking about. He was talking
And
about Ja.
also, according to Shams, that night was the night that Ja was in the club with the gun. Like after Steven Adams told him not
Steven
to.
Adams gives you one chance, and that's it. And then he takes care of business. And I think Ja knows
Okay,
that.
well,
But, yeah,
fine. That
yeah.
you're saying that, but immediately that night, what Ja did was he went out. Jalen Rose referred to substance stuff that you hear. I don't know what's going on with Ja and substances, but a lot of people are going to jump to all sorts of conclusions when you're faced with behavior like, what are you doing? Including a lot of people are doing this one, Meech, and you and I talked about this the other day. Because there's sort of a racial undertone on some of this stuff that can get poisonous in how it is that we talk about it. But the idea that Ja can't get friends and family out of his life, the idea of what Michael Irvin refers to as the ghetto loyalty of when I look at my watch in the mirror in the morning, I know I got it because I was sleeping on this dude's couch when I was 14 and nobody cared about me. And now you're telling me run that out of my life, even though it's one of the reasons that I got here.
Listen, I don't understand that approach. Yes, you don't have to get rid of everybody from your life. People who helped you in the old days, they should be supported through, but there are boundaries that you can raise. There is an amount of money you shouldn't have to give, right? You shouldn't have to, like we know athletes who've gone bankrupt because of the people around them just ran them ragged, took everything from them. That's not quid pro quo. That's not reciprocation. That's exploitation. But even if this is about hanging out with that group of people, there is a case of maybe I don't need to hang out with these group of people at a strip club, but no judgment. If you're going to go to a strip club, maybe I don't need to bring a weapon. It's just such an odd thing. There's perfectly decent steps we can take to examine this without having to say, oh, he must be on drugs. He might just be a person who made a set of extremely poor decisions, surrounded by people who encourage that poor decision. And you aren't going to solve that problem if you pretend the problem is actually somewhere else, with his blackness somehow, or with his drug abuse, or with something else. And it's not with those things. He is a young man who made a sequence of poor decisions supported by other people who did not stop him at the very least, or more likely encouraged those poor decisions. And so the intervention can only work if you know what the problem actually is. And so when we make up these things, it's about his identity, it's about his friend group, it's about his somehow dysfunctional family or something. It's super racist. And I just don't understand that. But also you can't solve the problem if you don't know what the problem is. You see this all the time. It doesn't matter whether you're talking about organizations or individuals. People try and solve a problem, and they haven't identified what it actually is that's causing the problem, and so they try stuff, and that stuff surprisingly doesn't work.
Let's play for Meech in the audience the sound here of Jon Stewart that we were playing yesterday. It's a genius. An Oklahoma State senator named Nathan Dom, who is
not that man.
He's making some arguments that that check some political boxes, ranging from no ban on guns to the war that there is in this country from this party on the transgender community. So let's hear the sound of Jon Stewart with Dom.
You want to ban drag show readings to children?
To minors, yes.
Why?
Why?
What are you protecting?
Why can we prohibit children from voting, those under 18 from voting?
Why are you banning?
Also that.
Is that free speech? Are you infringing on that performer's free speech?
They can continue to exercise their free speech, just not in front of a child.
Why?
Because the government does have a responsibility to protect.
I'm sorry?
The government does have a responsibility in certain instances to
What's
protect
the
children.
leading cause of death amongst children in this country? And I'm going to give you a hint. It's not drag show readings to children.
Correct, yes.
So what is it?
I'm presuming you're going to say it's firearms.
No, I'm not going to say it like it's an opinion. That's what it is. It's firearms. More than cancer, more than car accidents. And what you're telling me is you don't mind infringing free speech to protect children from this amorphous thing that you think of. But when it comes to children that have died, you don't give a flying
give it to
stop that, because that shall not be infringed. That is hypocrisy at its highest order.
Yes. Why does he have a show? Jon Stewart. It's impossible, right? He shouldn't have a show. It should be impossible. This is like, it's like watching Columbo. You know, this disheveled detective that everybody's supposed to believe
Columbo
is a complete idiot. And somehow every criminal who's operating in and around Los Angeles, where he's been operating for the last 40 years, is somehow unaware that this facade of a disheveled, stupid, and so he fools them every time. Who would go on his show that ill-prepared? Who would go on his show? That man's an idiot. To go on that show is crazy. How does he have a show? Why do people want to go on that show to be humiliated? That sound and that video is everywhere in the United Kingdom right now.
It's everywhere here, too.
I know it is, but it's not surprising. You guys like stuff about you. Britain, we tend to like stuff about us. But now we're really paying attention to this.
Do the Royals annoy you, John? Like they annoy everyone
We can't talk
here?
about that right now.
No,
So we can talk about it in a minute, but not right now.
Okay.
Adele's not playing the coronation.
He's rolling right now. We'll get to it in a minute.
Just craziness. Yeah. Anyway, I'm just shocked by that, right? Why would you do it?
Do you think she answers her phone and says, hello?
Adele now?
Adele.
Yeah.
Well, she won't say it like that, but I'm sure she does.
My brother,
That'd be
Amaechi.
my ringtone. Yeah, go ahead.
Brother, I have a question. Back to Ja Morant. He lives in Memphis right now, which has been rapper death after rapper death, Young Dolph, violence, guns everywhere. I think that he's influenced by being the man in that culture, which is why rappers and everybody come to his games and salute him. So I think that if he had a big brother that has been through the Memphis grind style before, like Zach Randolph, or someone who's actually been in that city being the man, I think he would benefit from that. You feel me?
Listen, 100%. I love that idea. I think this is going to be a case of him being mentored by somebody who gives a shit about him, someone who actually cares. That's what matters here. That was why Jalen's sound is so important, because he actually cares. The reason that I may sound harsh, because I'm trying to not make it about drugs or not make it about urban or not, is because I think only when we're accountable can we make change. And I think I don't know all this stuff about Memphis. I spent very little time there. I think it was Vancouver when I was playing. Anyway, the Grizzlies were in Vancouver when I was playing. So
big country.
I don't think I'd ever been there. I don't think I've ever been there. But the idea that the idea that if it is this place where he's wrapped up in all of this stuff, he's only going to be extricated by someone who can actually show that they understand the environment and that they care. And right now he seems to be surrounded by people who understand the environment and actively do not care enough to do the right thing.
Why is, and I know some of the answer to this, but I'd like to hear you articulate it. Why is that video going viral all over the UK, as I'm assuming that the entire world wonders what the hell is going on in America with guns, where they can't control they can't control their country, they can't protect their kids. It's the worst thing you can say about a group of leaders. They cannot protect their kids.
It is not viral because you cannot protect your kid. It's viral because it is a blatant choice not to protect your children. That's why. The presence of a gun in your household increases the chances that you or a family member will die. That is what it does. It does nothing else. You can now cite any anecdote of that guy who, I don't know, shot at the intruder or whatever else, but those anecdotes don't change the statistics. But the reason it's viral is because you can go other places around the world where there have been one terrible incident of gun violence. One. Australia's laws changed. British laws changed. You can go around the world and find pots in France and other places. And people respond to those tragedies by preventing them from happening again. And I don't know, we're in March and you're on your 50th mass shooting. And that's why it's gone viral, because people can't understand why your focus is on a man in a dress, but only certain men in dresses apparently, reading storybooks, rather than weapons that make people feel so powerful, so above the law, that they'll carry them into public places, if not use them to exact revenge for feeling maligned somehow.
Why does it work with a swath of people, so many people? Why does it work as a political tactic? Even, I don't know if state senator from Oklahoma, Nathan Dahm, will lose constituency for being made a fool like that. But he is here advocating for guns, even if it's to be made a fool, even if the will of the people is against the guns. So it doesn't change anything that he gets embarrassed. It doesn't change his viewpoint. He is somebody who's going to be pro-guns.
Yes, it will garner him votes. It will secure his position.
An absolutist of the solution to guns is more guns.
Yes, which again, there's lots of evidence that tells us that that won't work. It's never worked. The escalation, the kind of good guy with a gun versus a bad guy with a gun thing has always been stupid. If you want to create a chain factory of guns entering the system, even registered and legal, but ending up illegal, then you have this kind of anybody can get a gun, it takes half an hour, and handing over your driver's license. This type of thing is how it's going to work. I often wonder, I mean, handguns are designed for only one purpose, and that is to kill human beings. To kill human beings. So even the guns that people seem to think are acceptable, handguns, those weapons are designed to kill human beings, not deer. All the weapons that we seem to have a lot of conversations about, I don't know what the names of them, but they begin with AR. These weapons, these large caliber, and I'm sure they're not called machine guns, and I'll be mocked for this, but quite frankly, I'm proud of my lack of knowledge of these things. These aren't designed for anything but killing people. And so people are surprised. There's a proliferation of weapons that are designed to kill people, and surprise, surprise, people are dying. There's a new industry in this country of backpacks that double up as body armor. In what universe, even the most capitalist and commercial, in what universe would anybody look at that and not say, perhaps we've gone a step too far? It's not about liberal or otherwise. The reason that clip has gone viral is that, what I've just described, but it's also the fact that America speaks to the world as if it is free market, government, small government out of your business. And it absolutely is that where guns are concerned. But where men in dresses are concerned, it is interventionist. So a parent can decide to buy their 8-year-old a pink gun without the government having any purview or say over that. But the government wants to decide whether you can go and watch a drag show.
But why does it work is what I'm asking. Why does it work with such a large percentage of the... I have felt naive any number of reasons over the last 5 years, like an idiot, like a fool, that some of these things could be so overt, that so many people could choose what I believe to be indecency, simple indecency, and they will call me a liberal, they would call me woke, they will disparage me for leaning too far in the favor of equitable causes. But why does it work?
There's two sides to it. One is that if you have one correct position, one position that's deemed correct by this group of people, whether it's fiscal conservatism, whether it's the eradication of healthcare, Medicare, whether it's it doesn't really matter what it is, but if you support that one position, anything else that comes with it, you will tolerate. So for me, when Donald Trump said that he would grab the genitalia of a woman, I was done with him. He could have offered me 2% tax, no percent tax. He could have offered the government to match my salary. I still would not have voted for him. Because no matter how attractive other positions he may have, that one small thing makes him unelectable to me. But that's not how the populace is. The populace has looked at it and said, whether it's conservative values, whatever they mean, I'm not sure that Donald Trump is a good example of them. That's my point right here, and so I'm going to let anything else happen with that along the package. That's what we've seen occurring. There's a whole group of people who are terrified by change, and it's not surprising. Change is terrifying, but people are terrified by change, and as such, they need to know whose fault this change is. Why is the cost of living crisis happening? Why is my neighborhood changing? Why are my taxes higher? Why has this happened? Why is that? And they need to understand what it is, and they need that thing to not be their fault. So if you can tell people that school shootings are happening because of wokeness in the classrooms and transgender people in bathrooms, then that obviates you of all your accountability, and that feels really good. I now know who it is. It's those people coming across the border, right? You've got a fentanyl crisis in this country, as across Europe is happening too. And people are very sure. They were very sure that this was happening because illegal, you call them aliens, which I think is fascinating, but undocumented people coming across the border. You were convinced that they were carrying it, and it wasn't. It was middle-class white folk in their purses, carrying it across the border. Because we need to think it's somebody else.
Curious, John Stewart also covered that in The Problem. The right-wing whatabouts and the fentanyl crisis was one of them. I'm curious if this soundbite also went viral.
You want registration, maybe a wall, maybe not a wall. Why do you want that?
Well, one of the reasons is because the fentanyl crisis.
Right.
I mean, okay.
And you don't know when it's coming across. So what do you do?
But the fentanyl crisis is twice what the gun death crisis is.
Okay, so until the gun crisis gets to the fentanyl level,
not until it.
You don't want to bring order.
No, not until it. But
do you see my point?
If we're going to talk about protecting lives, that's a larger issue in America than guns is. If we're talking about individual lives of ways that they can be protected, loss of life in America, there's loss of life through fentanyl. There's loss of life through obesity. The obesity crisis in America costs 6 times the number of lives as guns.
Right, and so, you're the guy saying, you know what would help this? Ice cream.
No.
That one wasn't. I wish it had been, but that one's not been viral. But it's amazing, right? As long as you can make the solution somebody else's problem, people will vote for it. You're poor in Oklahoma. As long as you can make the problem, it's those people coming in and taking, languishing with hot tubs in their back gardens because they're taking federal benefits or something. As long as you can do that, it's fine. But if you actually make it about what you have done, what you're accountable for, it's a lot less attractive. If you started talking to people about this is why you're in crisis, because you're voting for people who put you in crisis.
That's how you get sort of the aggressive victimhood of that Dilbert cartoonist. We've been too serious here.
Okay.
We have been. We've gotten. Look, you've lost the room, Meech. Look at everybody. They're in their phones.
Yeah,
they're
they're
looking.
done.
They're looking at papers. They've got no time for anything.
I'm the social media guy. I got to get this up.
I know. You got to get it up. But everyone else, Chris Cody, what are your?
Let Prince Harry have it, John.
What are all of Chris Cody's opinions here?
I just want Tony and Meech to play one-on-one. That's what I want.
Everybody seems to want that to happen.
People want to put me in my place, John. It's a weird fetish that people have. Is like, put Tony in his place, please. Somebody do it. Somebody do it. And it's like, okay, like
there is a little something. Having watched you a little bit about your demeanor, that seems to it seems to be on the I would like to provoke things side of things.
Wow, and he just met
just
you.
to say,
Yeah.
I watch, but it's just much like me. You're not short
You
of an
watch the
opinion.
MMA hangout?
He's not short on confidence, Meech.
You look like you're getting closer to playing shape too, John. I don't know. Have you been
John's looking
inspired
good.
by some of this crap talk over there from Tony?
Oh, absolutely not. No, it's just I've got summer holiday in Mykonos. I've got to look better than I do.
Oh, wow. You know how that is. I've been wanting to go.
I have got to look better than I do.
Okay, but we've got a problem here, though, and a legitimate one, because we are never going to get this actually sorted out. Meech has refused. He's not playing against Tony.
Nope.
He will not summon the.
Well, that's kind of weak.
Well, this is.
I haven't touched a basketball in 25 years.
Yeah, but you can't beat Tony
I didn't
one-on-one.
do it for fun.
Meech, it would be even
This isn't
better
for
the
fun.
fact that you haven't touched the basketball in 25 years if you just went out and mopped the floor with them. I mean,
This is hugely important, humbling.
And we can wet your whistle. We can,
Again,
couple
John,
dollars behind it.
people really want
my
this to
whistle.
happen. I don't get it. Me and you are friends now. Like we're friends. We just want to hang out, have a couple cigars, relax,
Yes.
talk about the world.
I can't tell
Why
who's
is
more
one-on-one?
afraid of the other one, to be honest with you.
Why is that?
What an interesting approach. So toxic.
I
Right?
can't figure out which
There's
one of you is
toxic
more
masculinity
afraid.
right there.
Yeah,
Anything where people are trying to avoid unnecessary
Who's more
conflict,
afraid?
it must be about
always tell Billy
fear.
that.
I don't think it's about fear.
Well, this is the thing, though. We can't prove it, and both of you can allege that the other is afraid of the other.
But I wouldn't do that.
No, but I happen to believe that all you don't want to do is you don't want to uncage this person that you had to be in order to be competitive at that. And that's where Tony's going to get stuck in your ass crack, and it's going to be problematic, and he's going to get back down in, and you don't want to be that kind of aggressive.
I didn't play for fun. I played for work, and that work is over.
Tony genuinely doesn't think he'd get stuck in your ass crack, though.
No, he thinks he'd
Like, he
beat you.
genuinely thinks that he could compete.
John, I am coming back from a tremendous ankle injury on
tremendous.
in November.
I did hear about
He
the.
does not believe that you can back him
I
down
heard about
in the
the
paint.
tremendous.
You were
We
gonna
saw what
be-
happened when Dan tried.
He said he'll pull the
Dan
chair
didn't
out.
move.
He would pull the chair out from under
John,
you.
Dan is a big guy, okay?
And-
Dan tried to back me down and didn't budge an inch. Like, he did not move.
I was afraid the entire time that he was going to just pull the chair.
Pull the
and I
old
was
chair.
gonna
See,
fall
that's
down.
always in the back of somebody's
yeah.
mind. Is he
Usually
going to pull
that's
chair? Is
part
he
of it.
not?
Sounds
I
like
don't
Dan
know.
took it easy on
Maybe.
you.
He's too old to be falling down like that.
Yeah, I played against Anthony Mason.
Mace.
Well,
That's a good
this
point.
is a scary
I got a couple inches on
Anthony.
me.
Touche.
Couple pounds, too.
That is such a
It's
great
good
rebuttal.
sentence. It's a good. I played against Anthony Mason.
You win.
Because it is saying you don't understand that I was in the post against the Brahma Bull. Like you don't understand what I speak of when I say it was Anthony Mason. How strong this human being was.
Put his thumb in his first finger on you, you just wouldn't move. Yeah.
That's how Dan felt when I was back there.
The Mason thing was impressive,
Yes.
but also it was 25 years ago.
Because that's when I played.
Right. But you can't tap back into that?
Why would I want to?
I'm not as good as I once was, but once I can be as good as I ever was.
Meech, you're acting like you have to get ready for an NBA player. It's Tony.
Yeah.
Like,
it's Tony.
That's the problem, Meech.
you respect
they don't understand that you can't underestimate an opponent, and you have to get to a certain level to be good, or if not, you're going to lose to somebody.
You're saying you don't want to go back to that place. You don't want to get your mindset to what it'll take to elevate you to the point to embarrass Tony. You don't want to go back there.
But why? That's the thing. It's the weird part. I've only just met this man, and I'm supposed to want to embarrass him. I think you want to embarrass him.
No, everyone.
Well,
comes
we
away
all
with that.
want you to embarrass him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's what
I was saying, John. Everybody wants to be my place
right now.
and if you're not willing
Nobody
to do it,
can,
you're
though,
afraid
here.
of him.
So they have to go to you.
Chris Cody tried to do it.
and failed spectacularly.
Chris Cody.
Yeah,
Juju, let's not even do this.
I seem to remember a video in Salt Lake where you shot the same shot I shot 3 times, and you came up with 3 air balls, sir. And I came up with a social video that's online now. Nobody saw your video, sir, in your turtleneck.
On a 50-foot
Back to you, Dan.
It was literally a 50-foot rim.
Thank you, Juju. I appreciate the correspondence work. You seem to be shielding your back from Tony.
Well, because Juju's actually good at basketball is the thing. You know what I mean?
Juju, when was the last time you played basketball?
Oh, no.
Legitimately.
I played. My last game was in college. My last game for not fun, for actual skill in the university diploma.
So what year was that?
In which I failed out, so that's not neither here nor
there. That's a different story for another day. That's another story.
We're not talking about that.
What year was that?
This was 2000 and what? Hey, semantics. This is
Oh,
not English.
okay. No, just making sure.
I will beat you in basketball.
It sounded like a 2010 was coming. I don't know. That's what it sounded like.
You are my brother.
Agreed. And I don't know why Dan pits us against each other like this.
Exactly. This is Dan's work. This is us. I love you, brother. I will beat you.
Classic Ron McGill again.
They blame me for doing this, but I just saw Juju run around and run away from an accounting on his age. He does anything.
I'm ageless. I'm an ageless being.
And Daniel.
I've always been here like Roy.
2017, you were there in college.
Me and Roy has always been here.
Nobody was in college here in
Dan's already putting his
2017.
hands up, but Dan's the straw that stirs the shit.
Yes, which is
John, you should have seen what Dan did to the poor zookeeper earlier today.
Horrible position.
Terrible.
Put
Yeah.
everybody-
Horrible.
Awful, horrible position. Back to you, Dan.
You guys consistently underestimate how hard it is to do what John Amaechi did. He is, or was, maybe he still is, the best player in the history of his country at basketball.
No.
No?
There's now there are better players. At the time, you were the best player
at the time. Yeah,
Right.
like,
There was
who
only,
is now?
there was only
I mean-
6 of us playing at all.
Yeah.
Right.
Mine
I
professionally.
mean, it's England, let's be honest.
but I
Playing
think-
internationally,
Right,
I
thank
think
you.
Ben Gordon
Yeah.
and Luol Deng also.
I think
Well,
Tony.
Deng, for sure.
I think Tony underestimates how hard it is to be a professional basketball player. It's not even a college basketball
Dan, no,
player.
I don't. I don't know why you're doing that. You underestimate it, maybe. I don't. I've played against guys that played in the league. Like, I know the level that it takes to play at that level. And it's like, I that's not short on
You
me.
play
Like,
against
I get
Anthony
that.
Mason?
No,
Huh?
not Anthony Mason, but I have
There
my
you go.
list. Let me see if I can find
There's
it.
a difference. He's got a list.
Tony,
Tony,
are you afraid
I'm
of getting
incredibly
yourself?
excited to hear
No,
this
it's-
list.
Tony, are
it's
you
got
afraid of
Fab
getting yourself in the
Mello on it.
mindset?
I don't think you're not going to
No,
know
I'm always
some
ready.
of these names. I don't
You
think
say
they're
ready?
too.
Yeah,
they're too
born
old.
ready.
You don't
actually.
have to get one.
Too young, and you're too old. Go ahead.
Oh, no,
let's-
I've done this.
Hold on, top 5.
We're going to do it again, and we've already done it. Thank you, Billy.
Well, no, John hasn't heard it, though.
Billy? I have nothing to do with
John hasn't heard it.
This top 5 is brought to you by DraftKings, an official partner of the NBA. And the haters?
The haters specifically. They always sponsor my stuff.
Number 5.
Number
brought to you by the haters is funny every
It is good. They love sponsoring my stuff. I don't know. Number 5, Austin Rivers.
Number 4.
Nepo baby.
Oh, man.
Number 4.
Number 4, rest in peace, Fab Mello. A giant of a man, John. He was massive.
Number 3.
Stood anchor on the 2-3, and you couldn't even see the rim. It's huge. Number 3, somebody that, John, you may not remember, who was an excellent player outside of the NBA, Yakuba Diawara. Yakuba was a problem in the men's record.
Appreciate you giving John an NBA lesson.
Fab Mello is a 7-footer. Number 2.
Number 2, Carlos Arroyo.
You played against Carlos Arroyo.
Carlos, Billy,
Carlos Arroyo.
The Carlos Arroyo.
Laughing
In fairness,
laughing
that's
at
what they say
people
when
that
my name comes up. So
people don't know, Dan. People don't know that Carlos Arroyo, at whatever he is,
Agreed.
43 years old, can
Agreed.
go in and give everybody buckets.
Agreed. Number one,
Tim Hardaway Jr.
I think the disconnect here is having played with these guys doesn't put you on their level.
But I'm not saying it is.
But you're saying like you can
I'm saying
compete
I
with
know-
a former NBA player. We're just saying there's a wide range of people that played in the league from people who are
I get
really
that.
good.
I get that.
Like weeknight hoopers.
What I'm telling you is that I've seen those guys train. I've seen them play. And I'm telling you, I get what it takes to be there. I didn't have it, obviously, which is why I'm here. But I've seen it, right? You guys are laughing because you've never seen it before.
I need
We've
to
watched
stop
college
you.
players play too.
I need to stop you.
Billy, have you played against Carlos Arroyo?
No, we've watched them play.
Diawara, rest in peace, Fab Melo, any of those guys? No. Okay.
I
so
did
that's
go
fine.
to Austin Rivers' birthday party when he was like 6.
Very good. Bona fides. Put those away for a second. We're going to get to Stump the Meech in a second. But Mike Ryan, why were you showing Stugotz a picture of Aaron Rodgers on your phone? What's being reported about Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, things are happening.
On your phone.
Rob Domovsky and Dan Graziano at ESPN. Talks between Aaron Rodgers and the Jets will continue into today. Now, I have told you.
Second day of talks.
Now, I reported last week that the Jets internally felt pretty confident that
He
they were going to
slept in
get
New York.
Aaron Rodgers. If Aaron Rodgers and the Jets are talking directly right now, that would suggest that the compensation between the Packers and the Jets has kind of been agreed to. And now they're just talking about what this contract might look like and restructuring and fit and all that. So basically, if Aaron Rodgers agrees to this, then he'd be on the move.
I have a quarterback.
Let's Stump the Meech next.
I'll spend all night out in Venice, then make castles in the sand. Santa Monica's calling, but I'm here to cover the Rams. I'll stay in and avoid chateaus.
Because his name, of course, is Wade Jones.
Outside in the streets. Oh man, this bald-headed Caucasian king.
All right, Taylor, I feel this is a bold prediction. I feel like you're going to go with a golfer today. I feel like you haven't gone golfer yet, and I feel like this is my wheelhouse, so I'm going to know this golfer. Whoa, not a golfer.
Okay, not a player. This is a coach today.
This is a college basketball. I know who this is. This is
He's a college hoops coach. You can never tell by the suit because they obviously don't color coordinate suits in the NCAA. Dude,
What am I doing here? Flipping the phone over? I'm supposed to tell you who this is Mick Cronin.
Let's see if I can do better than last week. This is Mick Cronin. Yeah, this guy will kill you.
This week's edition of Who Dat Is was not successful last time. This is Mick Cronin. Come on!
I already know who this is because of our show. We make a lot of jokes on this mother trucker. This is Mick Cronin. I think he coached UCLA, somebody like that, you know. He's a very boisterous guy. You feel me? He got a lot of energy. Salute to that boy. Welcome in the hood anytime you want to come.
where does he coach now? Oh, just give me a second. Don't look at me. It's going to hit Mick Cronin. Yeah, I knew it. I was like, oh, Mick Cronin. Shout out to Arash. Didn't he used to rip him? Or what was the other coach that used to rip? Whatever. I got it right.
There's blood on his face.
Is this? No, I don't think it is. Is this Mick Cronin?
Let's go! Suit's got to come back. He looks fantastic. I mean, this is an exceptional suit. Nice checkerboard pattern. It's got to come back. Bring it back, Jack.
You might beat UCLA in the tournament. Solid guard play. Great coach. You might beat them, but in order to beat them, you're going to have to kill them. So if you beat UCLA and Mick Cronin in the NCAA tournament, what you need to prepare for is you and your entire team perhaps missing the next game because you're attending his funeral.
I'll spend all night out in Venice, then make castles in the sand. Santa Monica's calling, but I'm here to cover the Rams. I'll stay in and avoid chateaus. If I booze, then I'm on Skid Row. Just one drink to begin, not like that's a big sin. Just one beer, then we're gonna go to the Super Bowl.
Now, Mike, you know we're here to cover the big game. It's a time to be professional and avoid all the temptations the City of Angels may have to offer. Ain't that right, Jess and Kate?
That's right. We're just here to ask quirky questions to grown men wearing their full uniforms without pads in a convention hall.
Oh my God, is that George Clooney? It is! Baby, one scotch at the Roxy. Come on now!
One shot at whiskey, a go-go.
There we go! Now we're all drinking to avoid temptations, but a job to do. Professionals with a drink or two. Just a thimble of gin, and then I'll be locked in. After gin, then we're gonna go to the Super Bowl. To the Super Bowl. Super Bowl.
I mean, we have been locked up for a while.
Yeah, there's no rule against covering the big game and enjoying La La Land.
Wait a minute, it's the Walk of Fame. So much to see instead of the big game. And the traffic is bad on La Brea. So come on, join me in popping tequila.
I'm just here to drink and find Lewis Hamilton. Hey
guys, you get a shotgun of beer or what? I don't feel so good. I am genuinely fucked up right now.
Showtime, buddy! Racism, greed, trauma to brain and spine. And yet, I cannot look away. Heroes are dead. Science has their head.
No joke. John Amaechi just asked us during the break, who is Aaron Rodgers?
And what does he do? I mean, it's unbelievable.
I assumed he was a quarterback.
Yes, it doesn't actually matter, even though it's the most important thing in the world to Stugotz. He is afraid that his Jets are going to screw this up. They have historically, over his 40 years of existence, almost always screwed it up, and getting a 2-time MVP even after a down year to play quarterback for you would make him instantaneously, upon arrival, the greatest quarterback they've ever had at the position, even if he's diminished.
It would be him, Joe Flacco, and Chad Pennington. You're right.
It's not much of a list.
Sounds like Batman's butlers.
No, this is Meech asked me. I said, listen, the problem with Rodgers is he's 39. He said tail end of his career. And I said, nah, Brady has shifted all of that to a place where, you can play into your mid-40s, perhaps even 50s. So perhaps I'll get 11 years of Aaron Rodgers here, Meech.
That is, though, the game that Meech is playing is the more fun one, which is people in sports who sound like Batman's butler. Because Chad Pennington is that
is definitely
what
Batman's
what
butler,
made
right?
him feel some
Stetson
of that.
Bennett the fourth.
Yeah, Davis Love the third.
Right?
There are certain names I can give you that would, yes, give off a lot of Butler. He's just trying to avoid, though, Stump the Meech. He's scared of it. A man of his impressive intellect, he generally loses by a lot. Although during the pandemic,
you always do that.
Well, during the pandemic, he won one time, but it was a miracle. It was a pandemic. Mike was ill-equipped. He didn't have his library. ESPN wasn't sending us any. They were starving us. ESPN was starving us. They weren't sending any money down.
I love that this man played against Anthony Mason, and this is the thing that scares him.
You have a bullet point list of excuses here?
Mike, isn't that what happened? We lost one time
You
during
did
the
not
pandemic.
lose one time.
because
you lost a number of times, and indeed you lost back-to-back.
No, we've only lost once, and it was because we started doing them so much because there was no sports going on.
I suppose I shouldn't be surprised by revisionist.
You've
history
won
going
one
on.
You
time.
sound just like Tony right now.
It was a shocker, and it was only because we were under in the pandemic. We didn't have. Mike just had like a couple of sounds Stugotz had belched out over Zoom when we were trying to figure out the show during the pandemic. You're not going to win now.
Cognitive
he's
dissonance.
He's never going to win again.
Cognitive
And since you're too chicken shit to face Tony on the basketball court, this will be the humbling that we're all going to witness.
Oh, okay.
The first one is the easiest one always. When we play Stump the Meech, we try to get him to decipher, to do the translations on Stugotz's professional broadcasting. Word number 1.
Co.
Again, this is usually the easy one.
It is usually the easy one.
I think I know this one. I've got a guess.
I have a guess.
That's another
Who
thing,
doesn't
too.
have a
Like,
guess?
everyone
I have a guess.
offers their
Who's got a
assistance.
guess? It's a coach or it's a coat, but I don't.
Coach.
Is that your final
Code.
answer?
Can
What's
I
your
guess?
final answer?
Or code.
Code.
You know what? It's not even going to be a word with a C at the beginning of it. Is it?
Code.
Clearly not. Clearly not. I'm going to go with coach.
Wow.
That's what I would have
Excellent.
guessed.
Okay,
Thought
it was
He's
gold.
confident. He's feeling confident.
Well, no.
Usually when you get the first one,
My confidence doesn't rise with the first one. I know what happens next. Some fraction of a second of a noise. Hummingbird fart.
here's your second word.
Told you. Hummingbird. Is that one word or two?
It's one word.
You say that like that's
No,
obvious,
no,
but it's not obvious.
It's a good question.
That's a good
Yes,
question.
Yeah, it could be a
Yes, you've
sentence.
got some more information to help you here. Yes. It could be 2 words. That would not be that surprising given the history of this game. Could be a sentence. Could be like a paragraph.
Right.
Yeah, I've got nothing. I've listened intently.
You're not even gonna throw up just a flailing.
Got? No, it's not got. It's
too easy.
Ducked. Duck.
Which one is it?
Duck.
It is doctor.
Ah. Of course it is.
There
of
it
course
is.
it is.
What?
See, also, I mean, what gave you cause to say doctor?
I have not. Dr. J.
I believe that was the context.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was talking
All right.
about Austin Rivers' dad.
Here's it was Tua.
It was a Tua conversation where he's like, he really needs to get evaluated by da,
By
and he
da.
like went to a different sentence.
He needs to get evaluated by
1 for 2. What's the third one?
Bench. See, now that should, that's too easy to be benched. Benched.
The third one, Meech, you know it's not that easy.
Nope.
Bench. It would have been number 1 if it was benched.
Mm-hmm. Bench.
Or is it?
It sounds like bench.
Bench.
Sounds just like bench.
Bench.
Man, it's almost got to be benched, right?
You're not helping. Bench. Press the button.
Was that the
Bench.
day we were talking about great Reds catchers?
Bench. None of those words make sense. Bench. 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 I don't know.
There was a Reds catcher named Johnny Bench. That was the reference he was making.
Oh.
Could hold 6
okay.
balls in his hand.
Mm-hmm.
Bench. I know someone like that.
Hell yeah.
Bench. Let's just go with bench. I knew it. What is it?
Based.
You're a terrible man. You know.
Yes.
I love you too.
That is correct.
Many are saying.
Like, what is that?
The fourth one, he's got to get this one to stay in the game, otherwise he's an automatic loser. The fourth one is?
It's the difference between you and I. Having lost occasionally doesn't make one a loser.
You are what you do.
That's what Tom Brady thinks.
Oh, I think I know this one.
I think I know this
Yeah,
one.
but I said it.
Shut up and let me listen to it.
All
right, unhelpful. Is this super unhelpful? Is this 2 words or 1?
This is 1 word.
I've got. I don't know what that could possibly be.
Is it Lamar Odom?
One of those skinny clippers. No, I don't know. I don't know that one. What is that?
Is that
You're just not going to have a guess?
No, because I don't know what it is.
Is it protocol?
It's protocol.
Wow.
You said
He knows his wiener.
that's amazing. That was protocol.
I thought it was
I
board
mean,
op.
I've been talking to him for a long time. I think I thought it was either going to be protocol or the former Nets owner Prokhorov.
I have always
Oh,
taken.
good guess.
I've always been able to think about the words that you wouldn't use on this show, and to help eliminate.
There's a
and
reason why he doesn't often say protocol.
That's now out of the game.
Yeah.
What's the last one? Is this
Moneyball.
Moneyball situation?
A money ball
we'll give
for
you
the
a
win.
Moneyball.
You'll
Yeah,
give him the
Moneyball.
money ball
I
for
think
the
that's
win.
how he got that one win.
So
Yes.
if he makes this, he wins the game. I think that is how he got his one win.
It's
on the
not
money.
one win. What is wrong with you?
I think it was the money ball. I think
Seriously.
we gave you. You
Here's the
surprised
money ball.
us.
It's 1 win.
If it wasn't all in love, I would find it frustrating because it's definitely more than 1 win. You're aware of that.
What is this?
I can't focus.
You can win the game here. Meech.
1 word?
Yeah, I can kind of hear it. Knowing what it is, it sounds just like it.
And it's 1 word.
1 word.
Hmm.
1 word, 2 syllables.
You're getting a lot of help with the clues today that you don't usually get.
This is
That's
true.
A,
It's
a
'cause
lot
it's-
of help.
I've already
1 word,
lost, so-
1 word, 2
Well, no, you
syllables.
can
No,
still
you can
win.
win right here with the money ball. 1 word, 2 syllables is a lot of clue he's giving you.
No.
It sounds like plain English to
A
me.
2-syllable word that sounds like that. No, I've got nothing. I literally can't
Dan,
even
you
guess.
know your wiener.
Now I know it's a 2-syllable word.
Let me hear it again. I don't know.
It's a deadline.
Oh, come on.
I mean, that's all I hear now.
It's not even close.
Like
it starts
plain
with
English.
an L. It starts with an L.
Deadline.
Well, there is an L in deadline, so
Right.
that's your first mistake.
Deadline.
Deadline.
I would. I'm sorry. Another losing effort here from the
all right.
greatest of the losers, John Amaechi. Never wins at Stump the Meech, except when we are pandemic crippled by ESPN not sending us
So sad.
microphones.
So sad. Not even a good loser.
You'd be surprised, John, that Stugotz, who even though he sometimes has professional broadcasting lapses, I believe was the first person in this or any other country to be publicly criticizing Elon Musk at every turn. Alex Gibney is about to do, he's a very good documentarian. He's about to do a documentary, I think it's for Netflix, on Elon Musk. But Stugotz ahead of everybody. We have now all seen how terrible Elon Musk is, but Stugotz was a first. He was the first one to see any
I'm
of it.
proud of this,
You were a first mover.
Anywhere nationally or internationally. What do you make of a person who has spent $44 billion to buy what appears to be a toy for him so that he could be popular?
Well, he's a man-child, right? He's a man-child. He's a dangerous, dangerous man-child. But we knew this a long time ago. The thing is, that doesn't do enough credit, because this Twitter thing is just the latest in his kind of follies. Because he is like an old English nobleman who just builds crazy shit on their land because they can, and that's what he's doing. He's just got this thing. He bought Twitter because he didn't like the way people talked about him on it. That's it. Just that. He could make it better, maybe, but that's not really it. It's just, I want to control this thing that teenagers in their basements criticize me from, or something. It's crazy. But again, this is, why are they making a documentary about him? What is the interest, apart from prurience, in making a documentary about that?
But people are fascinated by wealth. We give all sorts of esteem to people just for collecting baubles. All sorts of esteem. We give them intellect. We give them the quote-unquote ability to earn money is viewed as something meritorious, almost noble.
People are going to be interested in his story. I don't like the guy, but people are going to be interested in his story. They'd be interested in Jeff Bezos' story.
They're not interested in his
They're interested
story.
in wealth and how you get it.
They're not interested in his story because this is the kind of person who talks about being self-made, but coming from an apartheid South Africa and a family who benefited from that. This is the kind of person who talks about being self-made, but sets up in California and takes billions of dollars in public money in order to do what he's done. This is a man who talks about being self-made, but isn't even the founder of the companies that he's the most famous for being in charge of. He simply inserts himself, removes. He's like a fucking cuckoo. He's a cuckoo. He shows up, sits in the nest with his gaping, wide-open mouth and weird, wrinkly skin, waiting to be fed, usually by the public purse, and then pushes out those who deserve around him. This is what he does. He's doing it at Twitter. He does it all over the place. And not only that, he's uncivil about it too. There's no dignity about his brilliance, if it is indeed brilliance. I don't understand. I think there is something laudable about being able to work a system. But normally we don't necessarily always treat that the same way, because some people work the system in a way that benefits others, and some people work the system that is simply about self-aggrandizement. It's about me, me, me. And I don't understand why we treat that with the same as some other people who've started companies that have actually done good for the world. Whether it's him or Bezos, I don't know that if on my CV there was some of the people who work for me live in their car. Some of the people who work for me pee in nappies as adults in order to not be in trouble for, missing time for toilet breaks. I don't know if that's something that would make me proud, and I'm not sure that's something I would want people to make a documentary about. Elon Musk is even worse. The skeletons in his closet must be just so profound.
The acceleration of greed during the pandemic has created a wealth disparity now that is even more egregious than what was already an unprecedented wealth disparity. You have come on this show and talked before about the idea that you believe that LeBron James, if he actually applied himself to it, could cure world hunger. If this was that he has the power of platform, that if he applied himself to that instead of the movies, he would actually be able to make.
No, I definitely never said it's not a question of he couldn't be doing Space Jam. It's not a question he couldn't be doing things like that or even other projects. It's not an either or. If there is this combined power in these individuals that we know works to make billions of pounds for Subway and selling their sandwiches, or billions of pounds for some other product to buy it, it could also be leveraged to do billions of pounds worth of good in a different direction. It could be leveraged to do other things. I think the era that we're in right now, it's much harder to do that than it would have been in the era that I played, for example. I think there were athletes then, I've said it before, there were athletes then who could have made that profound difference, who could have spoken up about political issues and perhaps shortcutted the rise of some of the demagogues that now exist by simply using their platform and allowing others of a more reasonable ilk to stand upon it. So, yeah, they can make a difference. But this wealth inequity didn't start during the pandemic. It started in the 80s. Certainly in Britain, you look at the real massive expansion of wealth inequity. It started in the 80s. And it's not that it didn't exist before for any number of other reasons. Irish families finding it hard to find lodgings, black people, immigrants, you name it. There's been lots of things, women not getting the vote, etc. There's been lots of other places where there's been inequity. But in terms of just pure finance, where we started to see this massive shift in both executive pay, we see this massive shift in subsidizing. I still don't understand how this is a country that's satisfied with subsidizing low wages through the public purse. It just seems odd to me. You know, you're really happy that you're going to pay less for something, even though you're still going to pay for it. You're living in San Francisco, and you're talking about the rough sleepers there as if it's a mystery why they exist. And it isn't. You can't just keep looking at people and saying it's because you didn't go to university, you didn't finish your GED, you didn't work hard. Because some of these people, we know the vast majority of people are rough sleepers, mental health issues. So if you want to solve that problem, back to the conversation we had earlier, you want to solve problems, you must know the etiology. What is the cause of the problem? And if mental health and substance abuse is the problem, criminalizing mental health and substance abuse is not the solution. Early intervention, helping people understand it, helping people have better nutrition, which helps avoid so many of these other issues. So free school meals, things like this, these things help, and they cost money.
I want to get your thoughts on one more serious thing before we finally get to Billy wanting you to go after the Royals, because Billy wants to badly get in here and get your opinions on what people in America are talking about. Your symbolic leaders over there.
Yes. Also, Brother John, about 3 minutes ago, you said leverage. I think it's leverage, bro.
It's a fine. Yeah,
Back to you,
$5.
I'll forgive him that because he has an excellent voice.
Yeah. You've misspoken quite a bit.
Queen's English. That's what I do. That's what I do. We had it first. I mean, I wouldn't say that.
No, we don't stop hearing about it.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. So much so that you're
1776,
importing
bro.
your roles now. What? 1776?
Yeah, we won.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, undefeated. Never lost against you guys.
So must win.
Roy, you weren't a part of that conversation back then, and if you had been,
yeah. Not Black History Month.
I know that Hamilton, made people think that all of these presidents were black. No, they just owned black people.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Okay, where were we?
Jefferson.
Billy wanting your honest appraisal. You have to try and navigate because you've got like all sorts of government titles, and you're a knight, and you're
no, not a knight.
You're an
OBE.
An OBE.
What are you?
Yeah.
An officer of the Order of the British Empire. I'm still hoping that we're going to be able to change this so that it's now British excellence, because it shouldn't really be about the empire.
Empire problematic.
So it's really interesting that when you get a letter through, if you're going to be honored, you get a letter through because they had quite a few. It was inconceivable until about 10 or 15 years ago that you would turn down this honor. And then all of a sudden, a year came where they were announced, and 6 or 7 people said, no, thank you, which I completely respect and understand. I remember the conversation I had with my sister. I went to her house in Manchester, and I was like, can I take this? Can I take an OBE? Does it make me a part of all of this? And there are plenty of, especially black folk in Britain, who would suggest that it does. But I did it because I thought that the influence it would grant me would allow me to do more good. It would allow me to get access. Sometimes it feels like that's been really effective, and sometimes it just feels like it's not.
Doesn't tell us how you feel about the Royals.
So the royal family is a family in trauma, and I don't delight in spectating it.
But me,
I used to be a marriage and family therapist. That's what I trained in.
Right.
I don't delight in watching family dysfunction play out in public. I don't delight in watching the boys who walked in suits, ill-fitting even as they were, behind the carriage of their mother. I don't delight in watching them now not even have solace in each other. I don't delight in the exposure of part of the British institution as racist, even with the lightest of light-skinned black women entering their domain. I don't delight in tell-all books that describe the infighting between brothers and fathers, and I don't delight in it. I don't think that it's as simple as everybody on one side is terrible and everybody on the other side is good. I think this is a family trauma playing out in front of us. And I think if it were my family or one of the families that I was supporting as a therapist, I just can't imagine how it would make it better if it was more public. So that's honestly how I feel when I look at it. It's just like, this is so tragic to watch the dissembling of a family, to watch the childishness and churlishness of individuals within that family play out on the public for our pleasure.
And not because you wouldn't enjoy the average political disgrace, and not because you have any reverence for this particular royalty, but just because there's a painful thing happening at the center of celebrity and family.
It's a family. And there is a difference between this and that senator from Oklahoma. There's a difference between watching that man be disassembled for having toxic and dangerous views that are clearly founded in nothing other than his own kind of weird self-serving philosophy, and a family that has been under-equipped to manage conflict, clearly, has been under-equipped to manage the spotlight, and is now under increasing scrutiny because no longer are they immune to the scathing glances of the underclass.
That really blew up in our face, didn't it, Billy? We're sitting here just
keep looping Billy into this. Billy's just sitting here trying to do looks like.
Well, I thought that Billy had opinions on the Royals. In terms of our correspondence when it comes to anything Royals related, I believe this is your area of passion. I believe you've stayed up at night watching. I believe you have
I haven't stayed up at night watching. Just enough with the books and the Netflix specials and all that. You know what I mean? Like, let's just
I believe
let's move on with our lives.
You have enjoyed following the Meghan Markle chronicles. Have you not? Do I have this wrong?
I have too much of them already. Just, be normal. You want to be normal, be normal.
Meech, just back to the OBE for a second. Do you have to be nominated? Does someone knock on your door David Baker from the Hall of Fame and tell you got in? How does this work?
So somebody has to nominate you, but it can be a random stranger as long as they create.
And you have to be British, right?
Nope.
So can you nominate me?
Wow.
I'm not sure that would be a particularly credible.
Well, you said you wanted to use this power for good, so nominate Stu guys.
That'd be
Is
great.
that the good?
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Why not?
Make me an OBE, Meech.
He'll do so much good with it.
He's so excited to be.
I'll use it for the right reasons, I promise.
He must be a symbolic head of colonialism.
I see it now. I'll nominate Roy.
I don't wait for any dinners, Meech. I mean, that's it.
See how many free meals you can get
Nominate me.
in Miami.
Stugotz,
I'm gonna try.
Stugotz would get the distinction and the honor and not do anything with it. Not even go to a meal, not fly to
It's
London.
all about getting it, Dan.
Not fly anywhere, not...
I have this now. What do I do?
Stugotz just wants it because Meech has one.
Yeah.
Well, no, because then he could make promises to Aaron Rodgers to knight him and stuff like that if he goes to the Jets.
Yes.
Meech, what is the worst way you've used this power?
The worst way?
Yeah.
You haven't waited for a dinner in a long time. Come on.
Nominating me would be the worst way, right?
I can. Well, that would definitely be the worst way. I have nominated a few people for honors.
Really?
Only one of those people has actually received an honor through my nomination.
What's the best superficial perk of having the...
Oh, there isn't one.
Oh, come
I know.
on.
No. There isn't one. You've got better perks with your credit card.
How many of them are
Don't
there?
want it anymore.
How many of them are? How distinct a distinction is this?
So MBE is the entry level. OBE is one level above that, and then you have knighthoods, KBEs, and knighthoods that are above that. So
What needs to happen?
That's the one I want.
What
yeah.
needs to happen for you to graduate to knighthood? And
not a chance. Not a chance.
Why?
Well, because I'm the British government. We do some work with the civil service in Britain, and the British government. There's a discussion of me in Hansard, which is the record of the political discourse in Britain, saying that I am considered a radical and shouldn't be employed to work with the civil service. So there's literally, because it's not really a royal nomination, it's a government nomination. I would not pass through nowadays.
How do I become a king?
Yeah, Britain's not the place you want to be that of. Try the Netherlands. Maybe you can marry into that family.
Are you a radical because you're liberal?
I'm a radical because I suggest that people with power should use it wisely and be accountable for it. And they don't like that because our government is not about being accountable. They're currently trying to send migrants who have come across the sea to Rwanda.
You're a knight who attacks his own castle.
I'm a knight who stands around the round table and suggests that the job is more than just slashing peasants.
Your government, you must have an uneasy relationship and history with representing it. It was, once upon a time, it was just an honor, correct?
Yeah.
Once upon a time, you would have thought of that and nothing else. An honor and nothing else, correct?
Nope, for sure. When I was at Vanderbilt, that was when the first war was on, and all the players would wear American flags, and I wore an American flag and a British flag, and I remember how incredibly proud I was of that. And now I have a tea cozy in my house that has a British flag on it, and I had to put it under in my cupboard. I can't even have it out now.
How do you guys feel?
Commodores.
How do you guys feel right now if I just tell you that someone is identifying in this country as a patriot?
Oh my God.
If someone is identifying in this country as someone who was publicly telling you,
I think Julian Edelman,
I'm a patriot.
We know exactly what that means. Isn't it interesting? It has such a strong association.
Maybe
I know what
Sam
political
Gash.
party.
I've never thought of a patriot as being anything but good.
No, that's not what it means anymore.
You see Steve Grogan?
It's not what it means anymore.
I know it's not what it
No.
means anymore.
Irvin Fryer.
Terrifying.
I mean, we can keep going. If you
Lawyer
guys-
Malloy.
I mean, we can have a lot of fun naming patriots from the last 20 years that Amaechi hasn't heard of.
These are all football players.
Yeah,
Ben
they're
Jarvis,
all-
Green
yeah,
Ellis.
Teddy Bruschi.
Brewski.
The law firm.
Amazing. I only know the guy who's been on Family Guy, the Gronkowski person.
The Gronkowski.
That's the one he knows.
It's the
You guys would get along.
He doesn't know Aaron
You and
Rodgers.
Well, he was on Family Guy, so I'm aware of him from Family Guy.
I think that person is Shane Vereen, Dan.
Mike Ryan loved, and so
Bingo.
did I. I don't guess it's the most recent South Park, but the recent South Park making fun of the Royals while making them the Royals of Canada is exceptional. I don't know. I
You have
haven't
to check
checked
it out. It's on HBO Max. It's the South Park episode on Harry and Meghan, and it pokes fun at the notion that there are these victims that all they want is privacy when they keep going out publicly asking for privacy. It kind of is counterintuitive.
It is. I
they
agree.
keep monetizing inside access that, again, goes against the notion of privacy or privacy, whatever you call it.
There you go.
Oh, wow. It's a little drop kick there at the end. No, listen, I agree with you. It is frustrating to watch. But there is a part of this where you may not understand the royal family in Britain. It is called the firm. It's called the firm. They
Great
have their
flick.
own security. They have their own intelligence. They have their own press and PR. It's an epic system.
Did you watch Ant-Man Quantumania?
Not yet, no.
No.
Is it
I'm not
terrible?
watching it. I don't like this turn, man. The multiverse, it's gotten out of hand. Everything's so CGI.
It's
right
one
now.
of the worst performing big films of that kind that we've ever seen.
And this is huge for the next phase, and I thought they have to get this one right.
Nope.
I'm out on Marvel, man. Just out.
I'm definitely not out on Marvel, but I'm definitely I'm
I haven't gone to the
I'm not
theaters.
keen on the multiverse.
I used to
be
go to the
honest.
theaters for every single one. Now I'll wait for streaming.
Did you see the Chris Rock special, brother?
Oh my God.
Oh.
Wow.
You're welcome, Dan.
Zach, go on.
I have
to you, Dan.
I have still not seen the Chris Rock special.
I haven't seen the
$10.
What an upset.
I have not seen it. I don't understand.
He choked.
No, it's not a question of that. What Will Smith did, ridiculous, right? Ridiculous. I don't think that black folk should fight in front of white folk, and I don't think they should do Netflix specials about it. I don't think
That's
that,
actually how he ended it.
Is it?
Yo, man.
Spoiler alert.
Jesus.
That's not on Chris
Sorry,
because everyone thought.
He
I mean,
literally just said like his closing line of it. Like that's relevant to this conversation.
I'm sorry.
Spoiler
I
alert.
agree. I have not seen
See,
it.
this is
so
why it's
I haven't
important
seen it.
to
Now
to
Dan's
watch.
never gonna watch
But
it.
I don't understand why we revel in this. In this, this is again
That's Bishop Brook 9.
drama.
Because it's celebrities fighting for public consumption, cotton candy, and after a year, Chris Rock, a comedian who I was hoping would be clever above it, is still clearly pissed off about how emasculating some of that was.
He got slapped. It's ridiculous.
Move
Both
on.
of them, it's
Yeah.
super childish. I don't understand the dynamics behind it. I don't watch that show with his wife around the table. I don't know what so I don't have any context to it all. I just know that I'm a big black man, and I know that I can't slap people in public. So the idea that I can do it on camera in public seems amazing to me. There you are. There's your Ja Morant thing. And now we're going to say, because I don't know what his religion, his race, his Hollywood bubble means he didn't know that. It's a stupid thing to do. Everybody knows it's stupid. You know, it's stupid as you stand up. Where's the person who just grabs him?
The next step on that, though, is that Chris Rock is going deeply personal when he says his wife cheated on him, and they did the interview at that red table that you speak of. And so she hurts him a lot more than he hurt me. That's a late 50s man making that joke after a year to think about it. It's not the most mature thing in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a comedian, so I don't have his skills, but it just appears like if you've got your skills, do something better with it than that. You know, don't make a whole Netflix special that's just a reaction to one moment of mild embarrassment where you're the victim.
Well, it wasn't mild embarrassment. It wasn't mild embarrassment.
You honestly think that Chris Rock had more to be embarrassed about after that incident? Immediately in the aftermath of it, he had more to be embarrassed about than Will Smith?
I think that the ego of whatever it is that Chris Rock was feeling there and what he thought he should have done as a man afterward, as he became fodder for not handling that physically or whatever it is the toxicity
Meech
is around
thinks
it.
he was the bigger man.
It's not about being the bigger man. This is not anything so highfalutin. It's just, how would the escalation of this, a brawl of two famous black men in front of the world, the audience of people who watch the Oscars, which, let's face it, disproportionately white folk, why would that be a good thing? Why don't people think about what that impact is?
It's a testament to your brilliance, brother, that I asked you about the special, and your natural reaction was his, spoiler alert, was his big finisher. You feel me? Salute to you, my brother. Keep
Thank
doing
you.
your thing.
I'm going to have to watch it now because
Before we finish up here with John Amaechi, something we have not talked about on the show today, Mike. We never did get to it, and I don't know what the latest details are because when I came in here this morning, there had been alleged a shooting on the property of Joe Mixon, and he apparently shot. And this is early reporting that I have not been able to.
There's some conflicting reports out there.
Update myself on. But Joe Mixon of the Cincinnati
really felt like we had to shoehorn this one in.
Bengals.
The reporting, we're all acknowledging that the reporting is all over the place. Gotta squeeze it in here, though.
I don't know what
I mean,
the
Meech
story
didn't know who Aaron Rodgers
hang tight
was.
before we got to take advantage of you. So the story is Joe Mixon, who had flashed a gun at a woman a couple days prior, had that allegation against him. He reportedly his home was yellow taped off because there were minor injuries sustained to a child. And there are reports out there, this is still pending investigation, no charges have been filed, at Joe Mixon's home. There was a child with a Nerf gun, and several shots allegedly rang out from the home. And there are varying accounts of how severe this incident was. Thankfully, no one is seriously hurt as of right now. But shots were fired at Joe Mixon's house.
And the police tape reporting is also something that is accurate. That is accurate reporting. And because we started this conversation with Ja Morant and gun culture, and because I'm old enough to remember, and Stugotz is old enough to remember, that football's rules on off-field behavior came falling down on the heads of every football player when it was the Bengals misbehaving before they got good. And those changes resulted in something we do not talk about enough, which is that football actually did a lot to eradicate its problem of we've got out-of-control violent people who can do things off the field. The consequences were so extreme in football as they tried to clean it up that I believe they've actually done a job of numerically stopping these kinds of incidents. But what happens when real life spills into your home and one of 53 guys on an important team? I think of Joe Mixon, and when we're playing word association, all I think of is this dude beat the holy hell out of a woman in college, got to the league anyways because he's immensely talented, was an amazing running back at Oklahoma, but I think of him as someone who came into the league having beaten a woman severely and it didn't matter, and now I don't know what happened with this incident.
Yeah, at the end game, it didn't matter. It was obviously something that was talked about entering the draft process. It caused him to slide, and then ironically enough, he ended up with the organization that kind of made personal conduct a must-have in the eyes of many in the Cincinnati Bengals.
And he's excellent at football, but
he was reported he was going to be a cap casualty because his cap number was so big, and that was like all the news surrounding Joe Mixon, and now almost certainly will be cut.
I don't understand your narrative about football when it appears that you can do everything, but you can fight dogs, you can beat women, and still play. And the idea that sliding down some arbitrary ranking is actually punishment is a crazy thought to me. I don't understand that. It's not accountability.
It costs you money.
Well, yeah,
it's not accountability.
If he is indeed a cap casualty, he'll then enter an open market, and once again, we'll see what
someone will sign him.
Somebody will sign him.
Yes,
because
likely.
It's more important.
Likely.
This is the thing about principles, though. If they can be violated so easily because of the talent of an individual or the people that they know or their raw popularity, then they're not really principles at all, are they? I don't understand this. And it's like the league wouldn't, neither of the leagues that we're talking about would kind of dissemble into just being full of amateurs. It would still be something substantive and powerful and huge.
Did you just call Tony?
That was so well done.
Did you just call Tony an amateur?
Tony missed it. It was so well done by me.
Did you just dismiss him as an amateur?
I wasn't listening. What happened?
With a hand wave? It's the most condescending.
He looked back at you.
You don't understand that John Amaechi, I would put him in the Hall of Fame for condescension. And it's the most condescending thing I've ever seen him do.
Yeah, you won't play the man.
It was genius in the middle of a serious conversation.
An amateur, you called him, while refusing to play him.
Because you're scared.